Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the fourth episode of Black Girls Blueprint to Maternal Health, a series brought to you by Revive Community Health Center and our partners, Black Millennials for Flint. I am your hostess with the mostest, Catrina Tillman. I am the Executive Director of Revive Community Health Center located downtown Flint. In observance of Maternal Mental Health Month, tonight's episode will center around this unique topic, unique experiences of Black women and mothers navigating their own mental health, as well as supporting others. I'd like to welcome our panelists. We'll go ahead and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. We'll start off with you, Felicia.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here tonight. My name is Felicia McGee, and I serve the Revive Village as the maternal self-care and de-stress support facilitator. I am also a trauma-informed stress resilience coach and a mental wellness advocate. And it's really important to me to help women rebuild and reclaim their lives and their joy by learning how they can soothe their react and protect brain so that they can enjoy the benefits of their thinking and solution brain and enjoy a life that is less stressful.
Yes, and we all could use a little bit of less stress in today's time. So looking forward to having this conversation with you. Over to Miss Sierra. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Peace and blessings, everyone. I am Sierra Leone. I am the founder of Milestone Creations, where I provide doula services, lactation support, and yoga. I'm based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And like everyone has said, I thank you for the opportunity to come speak about this subject matter. It is something that is near and dear to myself. I have 6 children, so I have been through these phases over and over again. So I'm speaking from a professional and a personal experience tonight.
I get so excited when I hear moms that have more children than I do. For those that don't know, I'm a mom of 4 boys. So anytime I hear a mom that has 4 or more, I'm like, yes. But I totally agree with you. Being a mom altogether, we definitely have being a woman, you experience some mental breakdowns, but being a mom. So I'm really excited to get into this conversation with the both of you. Let's go ahead and get into our topic today with the first question. Black women experience a higher prevalence of maternal mental health conditions as a whole, particularly postpartum depression and anxiety relative to the US population. In addition, maternal mental health issues among Black women are largely underreported, and symptoms often go unaddressed. With all the health disparities that are within our community, within the Black community, explain to our viewers why this particular subject matter is one we all should be paying attention to. And we can just kind of do popcorn style. So whoever wants to jump in and just kind of tackle that first question.
Well, it's important because it's real, right? I think a lot of times as Black women, we put on this armor of I can do it myself. And in reality, we need a community, somebody who's going to support us from the beginning to the end, and even up until our kids are grown, right? We need outlets and spaces where we can digest the things that we're dealing with and digress and keep going. And so if we don't talk about the reality of what it feels like to be depressed, we won't know exactly what that is. And so I think that opening up conversations about what it is, right? Because I mean, everybody goes through some form of baby blues, and it's because of hormones that are depleted once the placenta is out of your body. And so what is normal and what is unnormal? And so to talk about that, it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you vulnerable. It makes you real. And so we need to talk about these things and get them out on the table. And if we need help, you just get the help. Don't suppress it. Don't bypass it. And putting on that armor like we're the strong Black woman, we have to get away from that, because it's okay to be in these places. There's a lot of help out here. There's opportunities to speak with people online nowadays, which we never really had before. And there's a lot of people that look like us that are in these fields that are willing to give you the information that you need to be successful and to move past it.
I love that you said it gives us an opportunity to be real, because a lot of times as women, we do, especially Black women, we're deemed, oh, you're a strong Black woman. And I agree with you 100%. We got to get away from that. But, a lot of us, we do feel like we got to wear this S on our chest. And I don't know about y'all, but for me, the S on my chest stands for sleep. Because look, Felicia, that's how I do my self-care. Okay. I honor myself with a daily nap. I take at least a 45-minute nap every single day. So maybe we just need to change our mindset regarding that S on our chest. Go ahead, Felicia. I saw you were getting ready to jump in.
I enjoy so much of what Sierra talked about. And I'm just going to also add with what she was saying, 3 things that I think make this an important conversation to pay attention to. And I feel very passionate about it, having suffered, only knowing this well after I experienced it later in adulthood, that I suffer from postpartum psychosis. After my first child, which I ended up in the psychiatric ward. And not even understanding what happened to me again till much later in life. Like I had 3 children by then. My life had changed in 1,000 different ways. And so I think that it's important that we should pay attention to this, these concerns, these issues, the way they affect the Black and Brown community, as well as women as a whole, because it's important for us to do 3 things. And that is to expand our consciousness around the necessity of self-care, to provide the resources, strategies, and tools to help moms and women as a whole learn to calm the overwhelm and soothe their nervous system, which again can prevent other issues, mental health impacts down the road. And 3, it's important for us to pay attention to this conversation so that we challenge women as we expand their consciousness around the necessity of self-care, as we provide the resources, tools, and strategies for them to calm and soothe their nervous system, but also to challenge them to utilize the tools and the strategies to build a consistent self-care practice. Because it's important for women to understand that taking care of ourselves is central to everything that we take care of, not behind everything we take care of. One of the things I know on the plane when I fly is they always say in the directions, make sure you secure your mask before you help someone else. And we as women, let alone being moms and all the other labels we have almost, it's been imprinted in us to secure other people's oxygen while we lose our own breath.
Whew, child. Girl, like they say in the church, that'll preach. But it's so true. We have to make sure that, like you said, that we have a consistent routine for ourselves. And I always say that life has its own way of creating a schedule for you, just being a human being, right? But then add to that being a mom, add to that being a wife or a partner. So it can cause for you to put yourself on the back burner and to forget about yourself and to constantly be pouring out. Like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. But you know how we are when you're a mom, it's something in us that switch where our whole priority becomes that child, rightfully so to a certain extent, but you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself so that you can be the best mom that you can be for that child. Now, of course, we are still in COVID season. I know some restrictions or regulations have lifted, but COVID is still alive and it is still here within the United States. COVID has caused many of us to experience depression and isolation. Depression and anxiety affect 1 in 7 women during the prenatal period and are associated with increased risk of preterm delivery, reduced mother-infant bonding, and delays in cognitive or emotional development of the infant. In this interesting season that we are unfortunately still in, how can expecting mothers mind their mental during this COVID season?
I'd like to jump in and share here. I know one of the things that we do in Revive is we have a workshop course track. And one of those course tracks is Moments for Mommy. And at this particular workshop that I facilitate, I provide some simple evidence-based strategies to help moms to just kind of harness their own power in caring for themselves. And I really put an emphasis on caring for themselves because it's so key to caring for your baby. If you get lost in the shuffle, you know, you kind of lose hold of everything else. So one of the key things I talk to moms about is creating a routine to prevent overwhelm. Like minding your mental begins with creating a routine. And this is important for anybody, but particularly with the mom, because a lot of times what we don't realize, we're carrying this baby, we're juggling maybe a job, maybe not, maybe a partner, maybe not, maybe, you know, we have all these different roles that we still have going on. And now there's this life growing inside that we're anticipating. Creating a routine is so important to minding your mental. When you create the routine, it helps to alleviate some of the stress because you're not kind of hit offside with things, you know, that you just weren't expecting. And of course, you can't plan for everything, but having a routine can really even things out for you. Another thing that I encourage the women to do in Moments for Mommy is to use a journal. One, to use it as a way to plan, but not only that, it's a safe space where you don't have to wait to speak to somebody when you need to discharge big emotions. Progesterone and estrogen are rapidly increasing during the pregnancy, the gestation period. We're feeling a whole lot of things. The body's rapidly changing. Having a place to discharge those emotions and those sensations that you feel in the body, the journal is such a safe place. And I really, when I begin to work with women around that, they like, a light bulb goes on because of course they're like, well, I don't write it, da, 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 da. But then when we talk about this method, why using it this way is a way of creating safety and comfort and a way for them to move these emotions and feelings when they don't have somebody to call or talk to. It opens up a whole new channel for them, and knowing that they're doing this for themselves. And so I think those are just a couple of the key ways that moms can mind their mental, especially with COVID, because we've all, if we didn't know what trauma was before, COVID has definitely made trauma that a household word in many of our homes.
That is so true. I remember, you know, when COVID first hit, you know, even though I wasn't expecting, but being a mom, it's just, you know, I had to be mindful that, you know, our sons were going through COVID as well. You know, we're used to, you know, we're able to kind of still go out and go to the grocery store at least, but, you know, our children were still stuck in the home. And so you talk about minding your mental, it's like you do have to take those moments out for self, so that you can be able to help adjust or at least explain it properly to your children, the season that we're going through, even though it's still unknown to all of us of what this really is, and the true effects of it. And so, yeah, I totally agree. The journaling has been something that, me and you, we love to journal. So journaling is definitely a tool and a technique that I'm so glad that you brought to our village moms, with our Revive Village program, as a way for them to still be able to express themselves and get that out of them, as we would say. Go ahead, Sierra. I saw you kind of coming off.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of spoke of it earlier, right? And speaking to pouring from an empty cup. It's not possible, right? You can't give others what you yourself do not have. And during this season of COVID, we have had to be depleted of everything: social contact with others, our normalcy of going to do things, what we want to do when we want to do it. We have not had the ability to do that. And I think what COVID has also put in place for us is to be on the screen all the time, right? And I don't know if you guys are aware, but when we're on the screens too much, and especially when it's time for us to rest, it causes our brains to not release melatonin, which then causes us not to be able to have a good night's rest. And so if we're constantly behind the scenes on any type of computers, phones, all of that type of stuff, is going to cause a reaction to not allow you to rest properly. And so what I suggest is getting out in nature, right? There's nothing that's stopping us from getting out. We are spiritual people. We need to tap in with the environment. That means grounding and rooting ourselves in the actual outside, right? Getting breaths of fresh air, doing yoga, breath and meditation work. Those things are free, free to be able to do that. It doesn't cost a thing. You can train yourself how to be a yoga instructor. Those are things that we need to tap into, because again, we are spiritual beings. And if we're not tapping in with our higher power about those things, we're going to deplete ourselves of so much great nutrients. That's why it's also important to eat vegetables, right? Because they come from the earth. It comes from the ground, comes from nature. These are all things that, and we need to have a good diet. We need to be drinking plenty of fluids, waters, those things. All that taps into our mental psyche. And so I say, get out there, take a walk, get away from the computer, talk to people who you can talk to. That our lives have been so busy all the time. And during this time of COVID, it has required us to sit down and be mindful and not be so busy. Get back to the dinner table, having dinner with your family, teaching your kids how to cook, teaching your kids about history. All those things are available to us, and we need to be doing it.
I completely agree. I don't consider myself to be like the most creative mom, but let me tell you, listen here, COVID has it has caused us to be creative when it comes to like entertaining our children. I remember what was that, in 2020, when like maybe around, I don't know, June or July. So it definitely was COVID season. And there was a movie that came out. Of course, everybody's stuck in the house. It's nice outside, but I went and printed up little fake movie tickets, popped the popcorn, had like made up like a little concession stand in the kitchen, and like the popcorn was $1. I had little fake dollars, little Monopoly dollars. I mean, it was just a whole situation. I'm very proud of myself, if you all can't tell. But to your point, it allowed me to think outside of the box and be creative. I mean, we played a lot of board games. Like you say, we're a family that already eats dinner together at the table with no electronics. That is a rule that we have. But to your point, COVID has definitely caused a shift so to speak, in our mental and how we view things. And if nothing else, it has made family that much more important. And the significance of spending time with family. Because like you said, before COVID, it was just the hustle and bustle of life, right? Get up and go, get the kids ready. I mean, you really didn't have time to even think about anything. But now I'm like, if I don't feel like going, I ain't going. It's just like that. It's like, yeah. Life is too short. All of us have experienced losing a loved one or knowing someone who has lost a loved one due to this virus. And so we want to make sure that especially the vulnerable, expecting mothers know different techniques that they can do to mind their mental during this season. Speaking about being a woman and pregnant women, validating a woman's feelings is extremely important, especially a pregnant woman. And add to that, especially a Black pregnant woman, right? Cultural competence is an area where the mental health field needs to put forth time and attention. Issues around stress as they relate to prejudice and discrimination impacts people's emotional health. That is a fact. Take a moment to share with our audience the importance of being in tune with your mental health and ways that we can, or that a pregnant mom can advocate for her mental well-being during her pregnancy and beyond. We know that as it pertains to maternal infant mortality rate, a lot of times, especially with Black women, we're not heard as it pertains to our level of pain or just our level of discomfort. Unfortunately, some healthcare providers feel that because we're Black women that we can take more pain, going back to slavery. And so talk about the importance of being in tune with your mental health, but then also being able to advocate for your well-being during pregnancy, as it pertains to being able to communicate that to your health provider.
Well, I will say this is huge, right? And I will say from a personal experience and having a baby during this COVID season and being a doula, right? My last birth was supposed to be an at-home birth, but I ended up transferring. And I can recall so profound that I kept telling them the epidural was not working. They did not believe me. I had to literally tell them, just give me a C-section. And that is the point in which they believed me. Now, as a professional working at this same exact hospital, providing doula services to clients, I'm not really sure why I had to be in that position, but looking back, I understand completely why, because it needed to happen to me. Had I would have not advocated for myself and kept telling them this is what I needed, they would have never believed me. And so I think what I can take from that is that you have to keep pressing forward, even when they don't believe you, because those things are going to happen, but it doesn't mean that you give up. And not that when I said, give me a C-section was me giving up. It was just, I couldn't take it anymore. And I didn't want to keep experiencing that type of energy. I just was ready to see my baby on Earthside and without the constant pain for myself. So we have to keep speaking up. And I'm having these conversations with others now that it has been a personal experience for myself, again, during COVID, again, being a doula professional. And I have to keep having these conversations because it's real. Now I think about those who aren't professionals or those who don't feel like they can speak up. And this is why it's important to have doulas. This is why it's important to not birth alone. This is why it's important to be knowledgeable. This is why it's important to be educated, because if we're not educated in these spaces and places, they are going to take advantage. And this is another reason why having this conversation here today is important, to give that opportunity for people to hear real life stories that really have a cause and an effect on our Black bodies. So I say continue to advocate and speak out about the things that you're experiencing. Do not let your voice be silenced, because suffering in silence is not the way. And utilize these platforms that we have, social media. Utilize your power going to the top being and giving your story. And there's always a patient advocate that you can call and talk to and say, this was my experience. And it is their job to hear you out, and it is their job to make those changes.
Wow. It angers you to a point, because it's unfortunate that we already have a stigma on us being Black, and then being a woman. And it's the audacity for me. It's the audacity for me. The fact that here it is, I am well within my mind, and I feel what I feel, and I'm communicating to you what I feel. And the nerve to say, that's not what you're feeling. It's mind blowing to me. And it's unfortunate that this is our truth. It's unfortunate that we have to have spaces like Black Girls Blueprint to Maternal Health to actually talk about and bring awareness that this is a real thing, and it actually does happen. So thank you for sharing your story. And like you say, it's the irony of being a doula at that location and then having to experience the same thing that you teach your clients and expecting moms to advocate about, but yet here it is, you're on the other side experiencing that. It's so unfortunate. Go ahead, Felicia.
This is so awesome. First of all, let me say thank you, Miss Sierra, because the work that you and other birth workers do is not only impressive to me, but it's also something that moves my heart very deeply, because when I recall my birthing experiences, having children prematurely, having a child who is living currently as an adult with a disability, having so many of the things, me experiencing postpartum psychosis, all these things. These were things that when they were happening to me, I had not a clue. So now being connected to this work, being connected in a community of birthing birth workers and doulas and things like this, I am getting educated in ways that, and what's interesting is it's connecting me, although my experiences are 30 years past, it's connecting me back to those experiences. But here's why these conversations help me, is because they also help me to create and develop the content and how I educate the birthing moms. Because you made a key point. You are a birth worker. You have a background and an education and a knowledge and an experience. There are so many others who not only don't know how to advocate for themselves, but they don't feel like they have the voice to do it. And so what you share and other birth workers share, this is why the programs that we develop at Revive and the workshops that we facilitate, these are the things I put in. So here's something that I put in again into the Mommy Mental course, and that is when you're not okay, signal a safe person. This is why I talk to the moms about building a support network around them, within the pregnancy. And for some of the moms, when they say, well, I may not have this person or whatever, I say, we at Revive are part of your support circle. Because we have the access, we have the doulas, because we have myself as a stress resilience educator and a mental wellness advocate. This is why we are also a part of your network, because these are things that I also share and teach them. When they say, I don't have a birth plan, I don't write things down. You need to write down I just had a mom today, and we talked about she started telling me, yeah, I went to the bathroom last night and I can't tell if my ankles are swollen, but I was in pain. I said, get your journal right now and write that down. I said, and then put that in your purse so you could take that to your doctor. I said, because these things need to be communicated. So you have just spoken to so much, and you have validated why I talk to the women about having a journal, having a notebook, having a planner for their pregnancy. Because we're not just journaling about our feelings, but we're also making note of what's happening in our daily experience being pregnant. I had another mom that I'm talking to. She's struggling to get her provider changed because exactly, she's not being heard. And so we had this whole conversation about some of the strategies she can utilize to get her provider changed, and some of the things that she can go in and say and speak up for herself. So you really affirmed and validated some of the things I'm doing in the workshop facilitation with the moms. And then I also tell them, ask help from your support circle. If you feel uncomfortable saying something, ask somebody to say something for you. That's okay. Being able, so you touch so much, and I won't go back over it, but these are some of the things that when I go through the courses in the workshops, as well as what some of the other facilitators are doing, we're covering these things and helping them be aware that when they see you, they don't see you. So you have to speak up for yourself. So I appreciate everything that you shared about that and why we're having this conversation.
So true. It's why we do the work that we do at Revive, to be honest. We have over 15 workshops that cover a variety of topics. I mean, breastfeeding, prenatal education, postpartum education, even knowing your rights. We have a workshop on knowing your rights regarding breastfeeding. When you go back to work by law, there are certain rights that you have. Even being equipped and knowledgeable of the different tests that you take. Every time you go to the doctor, you got to pee in a cup. Why? What are y'all looking for? Why do I have to pee in a cup? Sometimes those things are not explained. It's just like, here's a cup, and you just kind of fall into the routine of things. But when it comes to your body, when it comes to your health, you have control over that. Yes, thank God for doctors, birth workers, everybody that's in the healthcare system, because they serve a purpose. But nobody can feel what you feel except for you. And if you are ever in a situation where you have questions, you shouldn't feel intimidated to speak out, to ask questions concerning your body. And truth be told, if that doctor, that nurse assistant, whoever in that office is not able to answer your question, you need to keep asking until you get an answer. And here's my thing that I think that doctors and nurses should really take into consideration when you're talking to a patient, i.e. for us, an expecting mother. Let's not use all the medical terminology. Like, can we just simplify this whole thing? Because you're talking to me about my body and you're talking about all of these different, words that are like 20 letters long, and I'm still trying to catch up with the pronunciation of the word, let alone what does it have to do with me? And so I think that it's important that you are educated. And that's one of the main things with our program as we work tirelessly. Just last week, and Felicia can tell this to you all, we took in 28 moms in 48 hours. And so as we work tirelessly to make sure that moms are fully educated. It's important that we begin to equip them with knowledge so that they can advocate for themselves. We also have a doula. I'm glad Sierra brought that up. We also have a doula on board that offers her services as well. And I say this almost every Black girl, I didn't know nothing about a doula. You know, it was never even mentioned to me, you know, from my doctor as an option, none of that, you know. And so I'm glad, I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, the work that Sierra is doing and other doulas and birth workers across this country, because it's needed and it does take a village. No pun intended regarding our program, which is called Revive Village, but it truly does take a village. And the more you know, the more educated you are, the more you can communicate and be able to advocate for yourself in these spaces. So thank you both for sharing that. Lastly, as we come to a close, just wanted to ask a final question. What are some tools or some coping skills we can give our expecting mothers to aid them during their pregnancy to keep their mental state intact? I know we kind of discussed this earlier regarding journaling, making sure that they have someone safe that they can talk to. But if there's any other tools or techniques that you all want to give our viewers, especially our expecting mothers, concerning their mental states, maybe some woo-saw techniques that they could have. Absolutely, Felicia, go ahead.
One of the things, well, there's a couple of different exercises that I do with the women. One of them, of course, is a breathing exercise. I really enjoy Sierra early talking about the yoga and the meditation and the breath work. I myself am also have a very deeply resonating spiritual background and agree wholeheartedly as spirit beings, to take care of our entire self definitely means not to neglect the spirit of who we are. And so one of the things I do, and again, because I am trauma informed and I believe in evidence-based strategies, I come from a medical-based background. I love how Sierra talked about the lighting from the computer. She was talking about what we call the circadian rhythm. I worked in the eye care field, and the blue light does emit frequencies that disrupt those patterns and throws off our sleep cycle. So I enjoyed how you shared that. It's important that we remember to breathe. Everywhere I go, one of the main exercises that I give to people is the practice of breathing. It is an evidence-based way that does not cost a dime, that when we practice breathing, just taking in nice deep inhales through the nose and just allowing that full breath to come out of the open mouth, taking that in, giving yourselves that. One of the things that it does, it's a rapid fire de-stress technique. Taking in those inhales, releasing those exhales is a surefire way to calm and soothe the nervous system in the most rapid way. And I always give people that because it's something, it doesn't cost you anything. You really don't have to necessarily be super skilled at it to begin. You just have to start. I see Sierra shaking her head. But another exercise I give to women is what I call the Heart Connect exercise. And it's just an exercise where I encourage women to sit with themselves and to place their hand over their heart. They can keep their eyes open or closed and just begin to speak to their heart, to connect to their heart, to affirm, to thank their heart for being there and for beating and for keeping them with strength in their body and being spacious enough to hold all the things that they carry and giving grace to their heart. And I got a whole lot of different things that I kind of lead people through when we do that exercise. But it's something that's very simple. And I tell women, it's something you can sit with yourself. You can create your own list. Sit with yourself. Just lay your hand over your heart and your chest and begin to speak positive and affirming and gentle and compassionate words to your heart. And believe it or not, sometimes it seems so simplified, but it's amazing. And Catrina, you witnessed this. I sit with women doing this all the time, and I am amazed at not only the rush of emotion, but how people's mental affect begins to change when they just connect with their own body, with their own being, with their own selves. And so those are some of the strategies and the tools that I use.
Listen, I can definitely vouch for the breathing exercise and the heart exercise. We at Revive, we partnered with a local shelter where we go in and speak to the moms of the center that are within their facility. And Felicia does a phenomenal job with really just breaking down those barriers with those moms. And like you say, breathing it, and it sounds like, okay, deep breath, but when you really do it, it definitely it shifts the whole your mindset. That quick deep breath. Even, I mean, being a mom of 4, if I'm yelling at one of my sons and they, mom, they taking me there, and I'm just like, why would you do that? And then sometimes I just have to just really take that deep breath and just say, okay, let's have a conversation, but it does help you refocus and recenter yourself. So those are definitely 2 great exercises that I would encourage any expecting mother, whoever is watching this, to definitely do. Because sometimes, listen, it could be people in your house, people on your job, people, at the grocery store. So you can do that exercise wherever, okay? It definitely works. Go ahead, Sierra.
So yes, I agree definitely with the breath and meditation. That is huge, profound. It does not take a long time to do. You can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, any amount of minutes to sit and take those deep breaths. And I say do it every single day. Another thing that is profound to me is self-care, right? We have to practice self-care, even if that means putting some money aside every paycheck. Or if someone comes and asks, what can I do for you? Well, you can pay for me to get a massage. Well, you can pay for me to go get my nails done. You can pay for me to get a pedicure. Those type of things are needed. We need to fill ourselves up with the things that we like to do. Because again, you cannot pour into someone else's cup without yours being fulfilled first. And so I like to practice self-care every single day. And that means I'm going to do my meditation, or that means I'm not answering that phone just because it's ringing. Okay. I can't deal with your problems if I haven't dealt with my own self first. So put your phone down. I'm not about to talk to you right now. I'm going to care for me and mine. And that's okay. We don't have to be available to every single person when it's necessary that they feel we should be available to them. Be available for you. I also say taking walks, eating things that are good for you. We don't think about eating nutritious foods all the time. But if you are constantly eating fried foods and foods that are heavy for you and things that are not of nutritional value, you are going to be what you eat. And that statement is very, very true. And as for pregnant women, we always think, oh, we're supposed to eat for 2. No, you think for 2. What are you putting in your body to give nutritional value to your unborn child that ultimately is going to affect them into adulthood? All of these things play a role. And I say again, practice that self-care. And the last but not least thing is get a therapist. Healthy people see therapists. Okay. Don't wait until the end when you're so distraught that you feel like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? No, get to a therapist as soon as possible and get you a Black one. There's plenty ones out here. Get a professional outlet so that they can help you get the tools that you need to continue to thrive.
Listen, you just said something. You don't eat for 2. you think for two. Okay. That is so true. That is so true, because I remember taking full advantage of the fact that I was pregnant. I was like, oh, I want two of them, extra mayo. No. But no, you're right. And I would say like within the last 8 months or so, I've really changed how I eat. Actually, it just goes to show you can learn from your own children. Sometimes you will become the student. One of our sons decided to be a vegetarian, went stone cold, and has not looked back. And I tried to trick him by going to Wendy's to get that 4 for $4. And he was like, I just want the drink and the fries. So it has caused me, I'm like, well, if you can do it, let me, and I ain't all the way vegetarian, but I cut out a lot of the meat and, you know, sticking with my fish and shrimp and crab. But, you know, what you eat is so important in terms of how you feel and how you think as well. So definitely take those tips into consideration, especially if you are expecting. Well, as we wrap up, I want to thank our guests, our panelists, both Felicia and Sierra, for sharing their wisdom and most importantly, their experiences. To learn more about our services at Revive, our free services, our program is free for expecting mothers in the Flint and Genesee County. Please check us out right here on Facebook. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram, or you can always go to our website, revivechc.org. Don't forget to tune into Black Girls Blueprint to Maternal Health during the month of June, where we are excited. The fellas will be coming to take over. Dads supporting dads, the fatherhood, brotherhood will be our topic of discussion for next month. So you want to make sure you put that on your calendar and make sure you tune in for that awesome discussion that I'm looking forward to having as well. And as always, please make sure that you engage with our technical partners. They're working behind the scenes to make sure this whole Black Girls Blueprint is viewed to you in a way that is with no technical difficulties. All right. So we want to shout out Black Millennials for Flint again for helping us with that. And make sure you follow both Revive Community Health Center and Black Millennials for Flint on all social media platforms. To share this episode, please make sure you share. We had great conversation. Really quick, Felicia and Sierra, thank you both again for tuning in and for being a part of our panel, and excited to see what is going to come with both of you with your doula services and with your services with us at Revive. You all have a great night. Be sure to tune in next month for another episode of Black Girls Blueprint to Maternal Health. I'm Catrina Tillman, your host.